Okay, so dry dating is on the rise, and when I say dry dating, I mean sober dating, aka going on a date and not drinking alcohol. Now, if you are in a part of the world where drinking alcohol is not a big deal, it's not a big thing, and to be honest, who gives a shit what you drink when you go on a date, this video may feel irrelevant. But I live in London, UK, which is, I mean, their drinking culture is on fucking steroids. So apparently it's newsworthy when people decide to start going on dates and not drinking on those dates. Well, some news articles have been written about it in this very early year of 2022, and research has suggested that it's because of the pandemic. So over the pandemic, people weren't really going out, they weren't really drinking, and some of them want to maintain that lifestyle afterward, so they don't want to feel like they have to start drinking again just because they want to go back into the dating scene to meet someone, for example, a significant other or a future partner. The issue is that a lot of people feel uneasy without alcohol. They feel like they're more likely to chat with someone freely, a stranger freely, if they're down in the booze. So to be honest, this is not an opinion video. I just want to know what you think. Have you been on a date before where you didn't drink but felt like you needed to? Have you been on a date before where you drank but the other person wasn't drinking and you felt like it was weird? Have you been on a date where both of you were sober? How did it go? What do you prefer? Do you prefer your sober dates or do you prefer your drunken dates? Reading about this made me remember when I moved to the UK, and there was this lingo that guys used in university, which was, oh, would you like to grab a coffee? And it took me probably a month to realize that when people say that, they're trying to ask you out on a date. But I never really understood it. Like literally it would be like, oh, would you like to grab coffee sometime, which seems like a very normal statement, but apparently if you're in the UK, you would know that is kind of indicative of someone asking you out on a date, if like he's a boy and you're a girl. Obviously it's highly contextual, but I'm just saying that's what was going on. But nowadays it's more like, oh, would you like to grab a drink? And so even when people want to ask you out on dates here, it's like, would you like to grab a drink? Right? And so the whole lingo of even drinking on dates is really embedded, and it's so embedded to the point where instead of saying, would you like to go on a date with me, it's now, would you like to grab a drink? You know, it's almost like, you know, the drinking and the dating they've become enmeshed. There are benefits to going on dates sober. Number one, your perception isn't skewed. We tend to be very friendly when we have had a few drinks. And I don't mean very friendly like sexual and stuff. That's there too, but just naturally more friendly. Like we see people, we're like, oh my god, you look really nice, and you know, we just loosen up a bit. But if this is someone who you've never met before, you're trying to see if there'll be a good future partner for you, isn't it better to go on that date and be sober? I've done all types of dates. I've done sober dates, I've done tipsy dates, drunk dates, and I think all of them can tell you about a person, but I don't really think there's a big deal to either of them. And I think if you're deciding to go dry on a date and the person you're with is pressuring you, even if it's subtly, to get a drink, like, oh, you know, are you sure you don't want to drink, it's happy hour, etc., tells you a lot about the person. Number one, they're not respecting the boundaries you've set, or it can expose their true intentions. There are many guys who they're counting on you to have a bit too much to drink because, you know, it's known that drinking loosens inhibitions, and they might be able to be more physically forward with you at that moment than if you were completely sober and in your right mind. Another thing is, sometimes I feel like there are some women who they've met someone, and let's say it's first date, second date, third date, fourth date, I don't care if it's the freaking 20th date, right? But they want to become physically intimate with the person, and they drink a lot first. They feel like they need to drink a lot first so that they can be comfortable with that act, especially when it's the other person who has proposed it. And my opinion, however controversial it might be, is that if you are not comfortable to undress in front of someone while you are in your fully conscious mind, like aka while you're sober, then you're definitely not ready to be having sex with that person. You probably shouldn't be if you have to knock yourself out first. And I know some people might say, oh, what of women who they're just naturally self-conscious? I still think if you're not comfortable enough to undress in front of somebody when you're fully conscious, you probably should not, even though I know people say don't use short statements, but you probably should not be having sex with them. So Bumble, the dating app, did a survey last year, and it turned out 1 in 5 people were very interested in going on dates post-lockdown that didn't have to do with drinking. And about 3/4 of people surveyed actually believed that when you went on a date with someone and it was a sober, aka dry date, you learned more about the person and you made more of a meaningful connection than if you went and got like drinks and everything. So I think it will be interesting. I think if you want to experiment with this, maybe one thing you could do is maybe set a rule or a principle to say for the first 3 dates with anyone, there's no drinking, and then after that we can just drink if you want to drink. I don't care, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm just saying, if you want to experiment with that, you could do that and see how it works. I don't really think it's a big deal to drink or not drink during a date, but I just really believe you shouldn't drink if you don't want to. There are people who even drink on dates not because they want to, but because they feel like if they don't, they're gonna look weird or come across as weird or stuck up or self-righteous or rigid to the person they're on the date with. That already is a red flag from you. So chillax. There's so many things to do if you're deciding to dry date. You can go to a park, you can go to a coffee shop, or you can even make it activity based. There's people who actually go on dates and they do things like rock climbing, they do things like swimming, so many things that aren't actually focused or centered on alcohol. And to be honest, if you're doing an activity-based date, the last thing you want to be is drunk. So I think this is very interesting. It would be nice to see where this goes to, because right now it's just like a trend on the rise, like a suspicion that this is going to become more popular. So it will be nice to see what happened towards the end of the year, or even next year. Is it even more popular? Are people going more on dry dates and less on drunk dates? We'll see. Peace out.
Just what you've done to me. Try to breathe in and reevaluate the perfect lighting on the stars.